I'm Alicia, 32, and literally last weekend, my role as the family provider? Yeah, it totally backfired. The stability I'd worked my butt off to keep solid for my daughter Charlotte? It blew up into a full-on crisis at my own front door. My mother and sister straight up demanded I explain myself, and when I clapped back, the room went dead silent. "You're a danger to her," they yelled, with police officers staring like I was some criminal. But here's the tea. Their betrayal didn't break me. It lit a spark. I'm not just pushing back, I'm about to flip the script and change everything. A quick note, this story is copyrighted by the YouTube channel Brim Revenge. Reposting, revoicing, or editing this content without permission constitutes copyright infringement. Thank you for respecting original creative work. Now, back to the story. I stepped off the plane, my carry-on heavy with exhaustion from a week-long work trip. My heart was already racing at the thought of seeing Charlotte, my 5-year-old, her gap-toothed smile, the only thing that kept me going. I'd been texting my mom all week, checking in, making sure Charlotte was okay while I was away. Mom's replies were short, clipped, but I brushed it off, her usual guilt-tripping nonsense. I just wanted to get home, scoop my girl into my arms, and crash. But as I pulled into my driveway, my stomach dropped. 2 police cars sat in front of my house, lights flashing silently. My hands tightened on the steering wheel, knuckles whitening. I parked and stepped out, my heels clicking too loudly on the pavement. An officer approached, his face unreadable. "Ma'am, are you Alicia Harper?" I nodded, throat dry. "We got a call about a child left unattended. Your daughter, Charlotte?" My heart stopped. Unattended? Charlotte was with my mom and sister. I glanced past him and saw them. Mom, her arms crossed, lips pursed, and my sister, Tara, avoiding my gaze, standing by the porch. The officer's radio crackled, but his eyes stayed on me, waiting for an answer I didn't have. "Officers, there's been a mistake," I said, my voice shaking but firm. "My daughter was with my family. I've been working out of town." Mom stepped forward, her voice dripping with accusation. "Alicia, you can't just leave her like that. We had to call. Someone had to protect her." "Protect her? From me?" My chest burned, a mix of rage and confusion. Tara wouldn't look at me, her fingers fidgeting with her sleeve. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but Charlotte's face flashed in my mind. I had to stay calm. For her. The officers asked me to step inside, their questions piling up like bricks. I answered mechanically, my mind racing. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was a calculated move, a betrayal that cut deeper than anything I'd endured from them before. I glanced at Mom's smug expression, and something inside me snapped into focus. No more. The police were still in my living room, their notepads out, but my mind was already slipping back to the years of my family's manipulation. I stood by the kitchen counter, gripping the edge, my nails digging into the worn wood. Mom's voice echoed from the porch, still lecturing the officers about my neglect. I wanted to laugh bitterly. Neglect? If only they knew how much I'd carried for her and Tara. My whole life, I'd been the one holding us together, bankrolling their lives while they treated me like I was invisible. I was 15 when it started, bussing tables after school to help with Mom's bills. She'd cry about her debts, her health, her stress, and I'd hand over every paycheck, my hands still smelling of grease. Meanwhile, Tara, 2 years younger, was the golden child. Her dance recitals got standing ovations, my straight-A report cards got a nod, maybe a, "That's nice, Alicia." Once, I saved up for a laptop to start coding, dreaming of a tech career. Mom borrowed the money for emergencies. And never paid it back. Tara got a new leotard instead. I remember staring at the empty shoebox where I'd hidden my cash, my throat tight, swallowing the hurt. By 25 I was working 2 jobs, sending money for Tara's college while I took night classes. I'd call home, exhausted, and Mom would sigh, "Tara's got a big audition, don't bother us now." My graduation? They didn't show. Tara's dance showcase the same week? They flew across state lines? I'd sit alone in my tiny apartment, eating instant noodles, telling myself it didn't matter. But it did. Every ignored milestone, every dollar I sent, chipped away at me. When Charlotte was born, I thought things might change. I was 27, a single mom, scraping by. I moved closer to them, hoping for support. Instead, Mom demanded I pay for her new car because Charlotte needs a grandma with wheels. I did it, my jaw clenched, thinking of my daughter's future. Tara would drop by, borrow money, and lecture me on priorities while eyeing my second-hand couch with disgust. I'd nod, smile, keep the peace. But each time I felt smaller, like I was fading in my own life. Now, standing in my kitchen, the officers' questions fading into background noise, I saw it clearly. They'd never valued me, only what I could give. Calling the police on me, claiming I'd endangered Charlotte, was their cruelest move yet. My fingers relaxed on the counter, a cold resolve settling in. I wasn't that desperate teenager anymore. I'd built something for myself, for Charlotte, and they didn't know the half of it. This time, they'd gone too far, and I was done playing their game. The officers finally left, their headlights fading down the street, leaving me alone in the dim glow of my kitchen. Mom and Tara had gone too, their parting glares burning into me. I sank into a chair, my hands trembling, but my mind was already racing back to the moment I decided I'd never let them control me again. It was 2 years ago, a rainy night, Charlotte asleep in her crib. I was staring at my bank account. 43.27 after sending Mom another loan. My eyes stung with exhaustion and shame. I'd been giving them everything, but I was done being their ATM. That night, I made a choice. I started secretly saving, scraping every extra cent from my tech support job. I'd stay up after Charlotte's bedtime, teaching myself to code better, building apps for freelance clients. My fingers would ache from typing, my coffee cold by 3 a.m., but each small payment felt like a brick in a wall between me and my family's demands. I hid it all, every gig, every dollar, in a separate account they didn't know about. I'd check the balance obsessively, watching it grow, $500, then $2,000, then $10,000. It was my lifeline, my proof I could break free. The real breakthrough came last year. A client loved my app design and connected me with a startup. I pitched an idea for a parenting app, tools for single moms like me to track budgets, schedules, everything. They bought it. Not just a contract. A full partnership. I was terrified, signing those papers, my pen shaking as I thought of Charlotte. What if I failed? But I didn't. The app launched and the revenue started rolling in. I moved us to this house, paid off my debts, and still kept it secret from Mom and Tara. They didn't deserve to know. Now, sitting in my kitchen, the memory of that struggle fueled me. They'd called the police, tried to paint me as a bad mother, but they had no idea who I'd become. I pulled out my phone, checking the app's dashboard, another 5,000 downloads this week. My success wasn't just money, it was power, the kind they couldn't touch. I thought of Charlotte sleeping upstairs, her tiny hand curled around her stuffed bunny. She was why I'd fought so hard. They'd tried to break me, but I'd built something stronger. A future for us. Tomorrow, I'd face them at their precious family dinner, but tonight I let the weight of my secret success anchor me. I wasn't their victim anymore. The morning after the police left, I stood in my bedroom, staring at the dress I'd laid out for Mom's annual family dinner. My stomach churned at the thought of facing her and Tara again, their smug faces ready to tear me down. Charlotte was at her friend's house for a playdate, her laughter still echoing in my mind as I dropped her off. I smoothed the dress's fabric, my fingers lingering on the hem, trying to steady myself. This dinner wasn't just another obligation, it felt like walking into a lion's den. But I had to go, to protect Charlotte, to show them I wasn't shaken. I'd spent the day prepping, my mind half on work emails, half on what I'd say. My app's partnership deal was inching closer to a major expansion. Meetings with investors loomed next week. I glanced at my laptop, the screen glowing with revenue charts, a reminder of what I'd built. But tonight, none of that would matter to Mom. She'd invited me to her house, her voice syrupy sweet over the phone, acting like the police incident never happened. "Family sticks together, Alicia," she'd said. I'd bitten my lips so hard it bled, nodding into the phone. Tara's text followed. "Don't embarrass us." My jaw clenched just reading it. I slipped on the dress, my hands shaking as I zipped it up. In the mirror, I saw the bags under my eyes, the weight of years spent pleasing them. I thought of Charlotte's tiny hand in mine, her trust in me. I couldn't let them drag us into their chaos again. I grabbed my purse, my fingers brushing the keys, each jingle a small act of defiance. I'd go to this dinner, but not as their punching bag. I'd sit at their table, smile, and let them think they had the upper hand for now. Driving to Mom's, The familiar streets felt suffocating. Her house loomed, its porch light casting harsh shadows. I parked, my hands gripping the wheel, my breath shallow. I could still hear Mom's voice from last night, accusing me of failing Charlotte. Tara's silence had been worse, her eyes darting away like I was nothing. My chest tightened, but I forced myself out of the car, my heels clicking on the driveway. The door was cracked open, voices spilling out, Mom's laugh, Tara's sharp tone. I paused, my hand hovering over the knob. This was it. One last dinner, one last chance to see if they'd changed. Deep down, I knew they hadn't, and that truth hardened something inside me. I pushed the door open, ready to face whatever came next. I stepped into Mom's dining room, the air thick with the smell of roasted chicken and tension. The table was set like a stage, Mom at the head, Tara to her right, both their smiles tight and rehearsed. I forced a nod, my purse still clutched in my hand, fingers digging into the strap. "Alicia, you made it," Mom said, her voice syrupy, but her eyes flicked over me like I was a stain on her perfect setup. Tara barely looked up, stirring her wineglass, her nails tapping the stem. The room felt smaller than I remembered, the walls closing in as I took my seat. They wasted no time. Mom leaned forward, her fork poised like a weapon. "So Alicia, how's that little job of yours? Still scraping by?" Her tone dripped with pity, but I caught the glint in her eye. She wanted me to squirm. I swallowed, my throat dry, and managed. "It's fine, Mom. Keeps us afloat." Tara snorted, not even hiding it. "Afloat? That's generous. Charlotte deserves better than your chaos." My stomach twisted, their words slicing into the raw wound from last night's police visit. My fingers curled into my palms under the table, nails biting skin. I tried to steer the conversation, asking about Tara's new dance studio, but they turned it back on me. "You're always gone, Alicia," Mom said, cutting her chicken with slow, deliberate slices, leaving Charlotte with just anyone. No wonder we had to step in. Step in? My pulse pounded in my ears. They meant the police. I wanted to scream, but I kept my voice steady. "She was with you, Mom? You were supposed to watch her." Tara's head snapped up, her eyes narrowing. "Don't turn this on us, you're the one who can't handle being a mother." Each word was a jab, calculated to make me feel small. I stared at my plate, the food untouched, my appetite gone. Mom's smile widened, sensing weakness. "We're just worried, Alicia. You're not stable." My chair creaked as I shifted, my knuckles white against the tablecloth. I could feel the weight of their judgment, years of it, pressing down. But something else stirred. A spark of the strength I'd built in secret. They didn't know about my app, my savings, my plans to protect Charlotte. They thought they could break me, but I wasn't the same Alicia who'd begged for their approval. I lifted my chin, meeting Mom's gaze, my heart racing but resolute. Tonight, I'd play their game, but I was already planning my next move. The dining room air grew heavier, Mom's chandelier casting jagged shadows across the table. My fork trembled in my hand as Tara leaned forward, her voice low and venomous. "Alicia, we did what we had to do for Charlotte's sake." I froze, the words sinking in like a blade. "What are you talking about?" I asked, though I already knew. Mom set her glass down, the clink sharp in the silence. "We called the police," she said, her tone flat, like she was stating the weather. "Someone had to protect that child from your neglect." My heart slammed against my ribs, the room tilting. I pushed my chair back, the screech of wood on wood cutting through their calm. "Neglect?" My voice cracked, but I didn't care. "You left her alone to make that call, didn't you? You used my daughter to hurt me." Tara's eyes flicked to Mom, then back to me, her lips curling. "You're unhinged, Alicia." "We told them the truth. You're too busy chasing your little dreams to be a mother." My fists clenched, nails digging into my palms, the pain grounding me. They'd planned this. Turned my absence into a weapon, knowing I'd been working to provide for Charlotte. Mom sighed, folding her napkin with deliberate care. "We just want what's best for her, Alicia. You've always been selfish." Selfish? The word burned. I'd paid their bills, covered Tara's rent, bought Mom's car, all while raising Charlotte alone. My eyes stung, but I blinked hard, refusing to let them see tears. "You don't get to decide what's best for my daughter," I said, my voice low, steady now. Tara scoffed, rolling her eyes, but Mom's face hardened, her fingers tapping the table like a judge's gavel. I stood, my chair scraping again, my hands shaking but my resolve solid. They'd crossed a line, not just against me, but against Charlotte. I saw it now. Their accusations weren't about love, they were about control. Every dollar I'd given, every sacrifice, had only fed their entitlement. My phone buzzed in my purse, ignored, but it reminded me of the life I'd built, the strength I'd hidden. They thought they'd won, disowning me with their righteous act. But they didn't know the fight I had left. I grabbed my purse, my knuckles white around the strap, and turned for the door. "This is the last time you'll see us," I said, my voice cutting through the silence. Their stunned faces were the last thing I saw as I walked out, the weight of their betrayal fueling every step. I stumbled out of Mom's house, the cool night air hitting my face like a slap. My hands shook as I fumbled for my phone in the car, the screen's glow harsh against the darkness. My heart was still pounding from their words, neglect, selfish. But I forced myself to breathe, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles ached. Then my phone buzzed again, a call from my lawyer Sarah, her name a lifeline. I answered, my voice barely steady. "Alicia, I've got news," she said, her tone calm but urgent. "The police report's been dismissed. No evidence of neglect, you're clear." I exhaled, my shoulders sagging, the weight of last night's nightmare lifting slightly. Sarah kept talking, her words crisp. "I looked into your family's claims. They're baseless, but we can file for a temporary restraining order to keep them away from Charlotte. It's your call." "My call." I stared at the dashboard, Mom's voice still echoing, accusing me of failing my daughter. My fingers tightened around the phone, the plastic creaking. "Do it," I said, my voice low but firm. "I want them out of our lives." Sarah paused, then said, "I'll have the paperwork ready by morning. You're doing the right thing, Alicia." I nodded, though she couldn't see me, my eyes stinging with unshed tears. For years I'd let Mom and Tara manipulate me, guilt me into thinking I owed them. But this, using Charlotte, calling the police, was the final straw. I thought of her upstairs in our house, sleeping soundly, trusting me to keep her safe. That trust was my anchor, stronger than their lies. I started the car, the engine's hum steadying me. My phone pinged again, a notification from my app's dashboard. Another investor had reached out, wanting to discuss the expansion. I let out a shaky laugh, the irony hitting me. While Mom and Tara were tearing me down, my work was soaring, proof I wasn't the failure they claimed. I pulled out of the driveway, Mom's house shrinking in my rearview mirror. My hands steadied on the wheel, my resolve hardening with every mile. Filing that restraining order wasn't just protection, it was a declaration. I was done letting them define me or my daughter's future. Tonight, I'd crossed a line of my own, and there was no going back. I drove home, the city lights blurring past, my heart still racing from the confrontation at Mom's. My phone sat silent in the cup holder, but my mind replayed Tara's scoff, Mom's cold accusation. Selfish. The word stung, but it also fueled me. I pulled into my driveway, the house dark except for the porch light I'd left on for Charlotte's babysitter. Inside I thanked the sitter, my voice clipped, and checked on Charlotte, her small chest rising and falling under her blanket. My fingers brushed her hair, soft and tangled, and I vowed she'd never feel the pain I did tonight. Back in the kitchen, I poured a glass of water, my hands still unsteady, and sat at the counter. The memory of the dinner gnawed at me, their smug faces, their betrayal. They'd called the police to save Charlotte, but it was a power play, a way to keep me under their thumb. I set the glass down hard, the clink echoing in the quiet. No more. I grabbed my laptop, opened my banking app, and stared at the account I'd been funneling money to for Mom and Tara. Rent, bills, emergencies. My cursor hovered over the transfer settings. With one click, I froze their access, my finger trembling but sure. I imagined their faces when they realized the money was gone. Tara's pout, Mom's outraged call, they'd expect me to cave like always. But not this time. I leaned back, my breath steadying, and thought of Sarah's words about the restraining order. It was already in motion, a legal wall between us. "You don't get to hurt us anymore," I whispered, the words solidifying my resolve. I pictured confronting them, not at their table, but on my terms. "You used my daughter," I'd say, my voice calm but cutting. "You're done controlling me." I closed the laptop, my reflection in the screen showing a woman I barely recognized, stronger, angrier. They'd thought they could break me, humiliate me into submission. Instead they'd pushed me to reclaim my power. I stood, my chair scraping softly, and glanced at Charlotte's drawing on the fridge, a stick figure family, just her and me. That was my family now. I wasn't just cutting them off financially, I was severing their hold on my life. As I headed to bed, my steps felt lighter, the weight of their hypocrisy lifting. Tomorrow I'd face the fallout, but tonight I'd sleep knowing I'd taken the first real step toward freedom. Morning light filtered through my kitchen window, warming the table where Charlotte sat, giggling over her cereal. I leaned against the counter, coffee mug in hand, my fingers tracing the handle's curve. Last night's dinner still lingered like a bruise, but today felt different. I'd invited my friend Lena and her daughter Mia over for a playdate, Charlotte's best friend and my closest ally. Lena arrived, her warm smile a stark contrast to Mom's icy judgment. She hugged me, her arms tight, and whispered, "You okay?" I nodded, my throat tight, not ready to spill everything yet. We sat outside watching Charlotte and Mia chase each other through the backyard, their laughter bouncing off the trees. Lena sipped her coffee, her eyes soft but searching. "You've been quiet, Alicia, what's going on?" I hesitated, my fingers twisting a napkin into knots. Then it poured out. The police, Mom's betrayal, Tara's accusations. Lena's face hardened, her hand reaching for mine, squeezing gently. "They don't deserve you," she said, her voice fierce. "You and Charlotte are better than their nonsense." Her words sank in, grounding me. With Lena there were no backhanded compliments, no demands for money or loyalty. She'd been there since Charlotte's first birthday, bringing a cake when I couldn't afford one. I glanced at the girls, Charlotte's pigtails bouncing as she tackled Mia in a giggling heap. This was what family should feel like. Safe, real, no strings attached. I thought of Mom's dining room, the cold glares, the calculated cruelty. Then I looked at Lena, her eyes full of quiet strength, and felt the contrast like a physical weightlift. "Charlotte's got you and you've got us," Lena said, nudging my shoulder. I smiled. My first real one in days, my chest loosening. We spent the afternoon baking cookies, flour dusting Charlotte's nose as she helped. Lena and I talked about my app, her excitement genuine when I mentioned the investor meeting. No jealousy, no dismissal, just support. As the girls played, I realized this was my chosen family, the ones who saw me, not what I could give. The betrayal from Mom and Tara still stung, but here in this moment I felt whole. I hugged Charlotte close as Lena and Mia left, her small arms tight around my neck. This was worth fighting for. I sat at my desk the next morning, the house quiet except for the soft hum of Charlotte's cartoons in the living room. My laptop screen glowed with an email from Sarah, my lawyer, confirming the temporary restraining order against Mom and Tara was filed. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, the reality sinking in. I'd done it. Drawn a legal line to protect Charlotte. My coffee sat untouched, steam curling upward as I stared at the court documents attached. My hands shook slightly, not from fear but from the weight of what I'd set in motion. The phone rang, Mom's number flashing. I let it go to voicemail, my jaw tight. Her message was predictable, tearful, accusing. "Alicia, how could you do this to us? We're family." I deleted it, my finger pressing harder than necessary. Tara texted next. "You're so selfish, cutting us off?" I didn't respond, my thumb hovering over the block button. I'd spent years answering their calls, soothing their tantrums, sending money I couldn't spare. Now, their anger felt like noise, loud but powerless. I stood, pacing the room, my socks soft against the hardwood. I thought of Charlotte, coloring happily in the next room, oblivious to the storm. My job now was to keep her world steady. I grabbed a notepad, jotting down new boundaries. No contact, no visits, no more family excuses. My pen scratched the paper, each word a brick in the fortress I was building. I'd already canceled their access to my accounts. Now I'd guard our peace with the same ruthlessness. Later I called Sarah back, my voice steady. "What's next?" She outlined the court process, her tone calm but firm. "Stay vigilant, Alicia. They might push back." I nodded, my fingers tightening around the phone. I pictured Mom's outrage, Tara's sulky glares, but they couldn't touch us now. I glanced at Charlotte, her crayons scattered like tiny flags of joy. This was my new rule, her safety, our freedom, above all else. I hung up, my resolve like steel, ready for whatever they threw next. Charlotte's laughter filled the living room as I knelt beside her, helping her glue glitter onto a construction paper heart. The morning sun streamed through the window, catching the sparkles, and for a moment, the world felt right. The restraining order was in place, my family's calls blocked, and my focus was here, building a home where Charlotte could thrive. I smoothed her hair, my fingers lingering on her soft curls, and felt a surge of purpose. I wasn't just protecting her. I was redefining what family meant, taking back the legacy Mom and Tara had tainted. I stood, my knees creaking, and glanced at my phone on the counter. A notification from my app's dashboard glowed. Another investor had signed on, pushing our expansion forward. I smiled, my chest swelling with pride. This wasn't just a job, it was proof I could create something meaningful. I thought of Mom's voice calling me selfish and Tara's sneers about my little dreams. They'd never seen me, but Charlotte would know a different story, one of strength, not sacrifice. Later I took Charlotte to the park, her small hand in mine as we walked. She ran to the swings, her giggles carrying over the breeze. I sat on a bench, watching her soar, and thought about the name Harper. Our name. Mom had used it to guilt me, Tara to mock me, but I'd make it mean something else. My app was helping single moms like me, giving them tools to stand tall. Each download, each review, felt like a brick in a new foundation, one Charlotte could be proud of. As she waved at me, her smile wide, I realized I was doing more than surviving. I was building a legacy of love, resilience, and independence. I pulled out my phone, snapping a photo of her mid-laugh, the sunlight framing her joy. This was my family now, and I'd make sure the name Harper stood for something unbreakable, something ours. I stood in Charlotte's bedroom that evening, tucking her in, the glow of her nightlight casting soft stars on the ceiling. Her eyelids fluttered, heavy with sleep, as she clutched her stuffed bunny. I kissed her forehead, my lips lingering, the warmth of her skin grounding me. The chaos of the past week, Mom's betrayal, Tara's accusations, the police at my door, felt distant now, like a storm that had passed. I sat on the edge of her bed, my hand resting on her small shoulder, and let myself breathe. For the first time, I felt a quiet peace, not because the fight was over, but because I knew my worth. I'd spent years chasing my family's approval, measuring myself by their standards. Every dollar I gave, every sacrifice, was a plea for them to see me. But they never did. Now, with the restraining order in place and their access to my life cut off, I saw it clearly. My value wasn't in their eyes. It was in Charlotte's trust, in the home I'd built, in the app that was changing lives. I thought of the investor meeting tomorrow, the chance to grow something bigger than myself. My fingers tightened around the blanket, a small smile tugging at my lips. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. I stood, tiptoeing out, and paused at the door, glancing back at Charlotte. She was my why, my proof that I could break the cycle of hurt. I didn't need Mom's praise or Tara's validation. I had this, us, our life, our future. The peace wasn't loud or triumphant. It was steady, like the rhythm of Charlotte's breathing. I closed the door softly, my heart full, ready for whatever came next. So, what do you think? Did I protect Charlotte fiercely enough? Or should I have done more? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and if you've ever had to stand up to toxic family, share your story. I'd love to hear it. Breaking free isn't easy, but it's worth it. Every step I took, from cutting off their money to securing that restraining order, was for her, for us. If this hit home, hit that subscribe button for more stories about finding strength and rewriting your own rules. You don't need everyone's approval to know your worth, just the courage to claim it. Keep fighting for what matters, and I'll see you in the next one.